Hey you guys, welcome to The Influence, a show that encourages you to think, question, and live with a little bit of flavor. I'm Donnie, your host, and I have my co-host here, Duve, and we ready to talk. Let's go. Hey you guys, I wanted to take a moment to let you know I appreciate you guys listening, and I want you to be inspired to start your own podcast too. And what better way to do it with Anchor? If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. You see, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone and your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place. So what you waiting for? I know you're ready to talk. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Tell them Donna sent you. Hey, bro, what's going on with you?
Nothing much, sis. How's it going?
Great. How are you enjoying this lovely weather that Philly is trying to pop out these days?
I'm going in with precaution. Part of me wants to wild out and think that, hey, we back outside again, and then the
Right.
other part of me looks at the news again and gets a text saying Corona this and Corona that, and I say, yeah, I'm gonna do this one low key today.
Yeah, Rona needs to chill, man. She doing a lot, but it's in our nature, man, to know that when May come around, it's time to pop out, get the grills going and stuff. But we'll see. But thanks for joining me today. We had to take a step back, and that's always good to just resurface and rethink about some things. But I wanted to in that time period that we took a little break, you guys, I wanted to actually talk about some things that I've noticed. Like, I don't know, like, so you follow the Shade Room on Instagram, right, bro? So it was this post. I don't want to know. I think I want to say it was maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. But basically, now that everybody is practicing social distancing, we all know that our school kids are learning online now. And for the school district of Philadelphia, it's brand new. For everybody, it's brand new because it's like, yeah, colleges had online classes, they had blended courses, but now that's like the only option. Whereas it was different just only a couple months ago. So be that as it may, I had saw this post that got me thinking about like internet usage and social media, especially around this time. And like, how far is too far, whether you're doing too much or not. We need to make like how they have that was easy button. We need to make something like either that was like, oh, you're doing too much, you out of pocket button. So we could just kind of like put that out there. But the post
bring it back, like a bring it back button. Like,
bring it back. Exactly.
Bring it back.
I like
Okay.
that. I like
Bring
that.
it back.
So with this post, right, the bull was a teacher, the bull, right? The bull.
Okay.
He was the professor, he was a teacher, and he was producing his online class with his students. Somebody screenshotted his screen because he went to go hit present and he was showing his screen. Now, disclaimer, if y'all going to show y'all screens, make sure y'all stuff is tightened up. That's just like if you do a video.
Oh, you're talking about the bull with the let me let you continue. Go ahead. I think I know you're talking about now.
You feel my drift. So
I know you're talking about now. Okay.
So the professor was on there. He was holding his class, and he had some tabs open. And so the first tab was educational. The second tab might have been him shopping at Target. The third tab, that was a problem because it said something about X, Y, and Z. Yeah, you mean getting into these things, right? That he was getting into. So it's not funny, but right, he was doing some extracurriculum that got some people concerned. So apparently somebody screenshotted it. They put it up, which we live in that day and age right now where those things definitely can happen without a blink of an eye. So I think he got fired or he got one suspension from what I gathered.
To my knowledge, he was terminated. But my thing is, I have a lot of questions with that. For one, okay, because I mean, you can judge it off the content. Basically, it was just showing he was on a adult film or adult, active page.
Right.
But okay, given that could be someone's, liking, he's an adult. He's free to do that type of thing. I don't know if it was the actual page that was a problem because it was like hot college girls or something like that, and
Yes.
he's a college professor. So it's like, okay, are you looking at the students a certain way now?
Right.
Then it's the fact I wonder if this computer is school property.
Right.
Like
Right.
is this a college issued laptop or desktop, for a professor,
Right.
and you're doing that type of stuff. Now, given I would think that usually with that type of stuff, the college would be able to restrict certain things on that or have some type of restriction on on a content anyway. So, I mean, yes, I mean it's a couple what ifs and make you question now. I mean, is he wrong for having it? No. Is he wrong for having it there? Yeah. A lot of people have hidden pages and hidden browsers and stuff like that, or you're supposed to, delete your history and clean out your cookies and all that. Like, but I guess he just wasn't thinking like that.
Clean out your cookies, like I
You're
mean,
supposed to clean your cookies, yeah.
yeah. He was trying to dip in the cookie jar, but I would say this though. Everything has a reaction, right? And especially now, since again, we can look on the internet and find out anything, whether it be true, whether it be partially true, whether it be just like 1% of truth. We still gonna look at it, we're still gonna view it, and people get paid. There are jobs out here where people actually make money off of that very transaction of information, right? So what caught my eye was that when I saw the comment, because Shade Room, they post things and it's like, whoa, really? That's out of pocket. But then I thought about it from my perspective because I do work with kids. And so I looked at it like, wow, like come on. You know what I mean? I really think so from a human perspective, I get it. We all have our vices. We all have our secret room, whatever the case may be that we into. Hopefully it's safe. Hopefully it's safe. We ain't trying to tell
Hopefully, yeah.
y'all, we ain't trying to influence y'all to think and question things negatively and do these things. No, we ain't trying to tell you do that.
Nah, not at all.
But what I am saying is that from a human perspective, I can understand why it could have been, and I want to say this very carefully. It could have been looked at like, oh, shoot, let me just hurry up, make sure I clean up my area or whatever. Because that's just like if I walked in on somebody's office and they had something out that they didn't mean to leave out. And it didn't have to be anything sexually aggressive or anything like that. Well, I hope not. But it didn't have to be anything like that. It could be something like related to their health or something just personal to them, rather, right? And I've been in situations like that where I've walked in, especially with the type of work that I do, working with kids. I do have to interact with other adults about the kids that I work with. So I might have walked in and they may have been having a conversation with their partner or their husband or wife or whatever. And I caught the telling in the conversation by accident just because they had their door open and they're having a conversation there and they're into their conversation. From a human standpoint, I can understand that. I'm not justifying and saying that that professor was right to have that stuff up. I totally 100% agree with you, bro, with saying, you mean that was wrong. But what I wanted to bring up was it warranted for him to get terminated? And the reason being, my take on it was, he should have definitely been reprimanded. Terminated, I don't know, unless they know for a fact that there has been other background stuff to this story. And that's where I come into you with the questions like, wait a minute, was this boy you know what I mean? Was he really like, because you do have to question those things in light of things that has made the news and light of things that have happened to kids and things like that. And again, you know what I mean? That's nothing to take lightly because you must, I feel like if you do anything to a child where you're harming them or you just like affect their innocence or something like that, you deserve to be at the bottom of the jail cell. You deserve possibly to be beyond 6 feet under. And hopefully, and I pray that it's not anybody that I personally know. And even if it's not, that's the one thing that will probably make me sit in a jail cell. That I won't have a problem saying, look, just put me there, throw away the key, because I did it. Like, you know what I mean? Like that right there, as far as kids, yes, I'm gonna sit there and speak on that. But it was interesting because in the comments, when you read the post, the first post came from, I think, Portia. She's from like Real Housewives of Atlanta, I believe. And she said, okay, well, okay. Her comment, and I'm like quoting it, like paraphrasing it, but it was something like, okay, wow, it's not that deep or something of that sort. So people like jumped on that comment and ran with it. And it was just like, from one perspective, I can kind of understand it. But then from another perspective, I could kind of understand why people felt the way that they felt, right? Because you got people coming from all different walks of life that sees this information online through the shade room. Everybody and their sister has almost an Instagram page. So you don't know what their background story is related to children, related to possibly some form of abuse is. So they carry that emotionally. So when you make a statement that's kind of like almost dismissive or almost as if like, whatever, pat them on the back, you're already asking and charging yourself to be on the chopping block with that kind of conversation. And that's what I wanted to focus on, because it's like, at what point do we have, like, at what point, because me and you both are in the internet, we both have our own profiles respectfully for our businesses, right? And at what point do you hone in on your influence and say, all right, I'm gonna post this? And at what point do you say, I'm gonna scale back? Because we don't post often. We mostly post literally, if it's not about our business, you only get like, what you see on our Instagram is basically not even a snippet of our real lives, if I can say that. So what's your take on
that? I would say if my usual way of handling things is kind of like, striking when ready, then I'll stick to that. Unless if it applies to me directly or indirectly, then maybe I'm a little bit more eager to respond. But I'll have my thoughts and beliefs in the background, and I'll try to see like okay, maybe I should say something now or hold off or something. Like I said, if it don't apply, usually they say if it don't apply, let it fly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it depends on how it affects me more so.
And I think that's honest. Like, I think that's honest.
Because that doesn't affect me. Currently, I'm not in college. It's not my professor. Now, I can look at it possibly from a standpoint like, okay, what if this person was teaching like my kids or something like that, and the content showed teenage girls. You know what I mean? And I have a high school daughter or something, or even a child for that matter, someone underage, and he's looking at that. You know what I mean? I can look at it like that and be offended and want to say like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, like you said, he should have been reprimanded, of course. I don't know if termination was the most reasonable, but I think some type of investigation should be done. Some administrative leave, investigate his computer systems.
Oh yeah, especially after it hit shade room, it's definitely gonna be an investigation dropping. Like, they gonna be all up in his business. They definitely gonna be all up in his business now. I just feel like people, and I might be the devil's advocate with this, but I feel like so when we have somebody come up in our house, like, we have like, set rule, not a set rule in a sense. No, it is a set rule. I'm going to say that we have a set rule to sit there and think that we assume people will be able to behave themselves accordingly, in the sense that, okay, how they say you treat people how you want to be treated. And I know that's old. I know it's cliche, but it's still warranted in a lot of things. And so I guess my thing is, when you say like, if it doesn't have nothing to do with me, that's true. Some people will argue though, okay, if it don't have nothing to do with you, how can you say that? If you have a kid yourself, or if you work with kids, or if you work with a population that is possibly prone to being attacked, whatever the case may be, how can you say that? That's kind of like double jeopardy, or kind of like a double standard in a sense. So what would you say to that? And again, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah. Let me say it again. Let me just make sure before I respond.
So you said that, you mean like, if it don't have nothing to do with me, if it don't apply, let it fly, right? But in the same breath, you have children. You work with possibly a population that could be possibly affected and more prone to being attacked or whatever the case may be. So why would you not speak up or advocate, if you will? Just on the mere idea of the fact that you have children and the fact that you work with people. Because, I mean, you do know that could be, you could be in that scenario easily, as they say. You know what I mean? So what would you say on that?
Exactly. Then I would have to try to apply myself into the situation more thoroughly. You know, I mean, I can have thoughts and beliefs like, hey, if it were to happen in my realm this way, then I'll go about it that way. But at the same token, it didn't. Like, like you can always have your thought of how you're going to react to something, but until you're actually into it, you won't know how you're really going to react.
Well said.
So, I mean, I can go in with a grain of salt. I can go in with a clear mind. I can go in guns a-blazing. It's just deciding how to go about it and which way to go into it. Which which side am I standing for? Am I going all the way in? Am I saying what I'm going to need to say, but I'm holding back slightly? So, you know what I mean?
So, like, go ahead.
Because, I mean, it's still the cause and reaction, cause and effect. Like, I can go in guns and blazing, and people would look at me like, this don't even pertain to you. Why are you even in here?
Right. Took the words out of my mouth. Right. Literally.
Or I can just be like, and the people like, no, you're not saying enough. So,
there you go.
You can't please everyone, as always.
True.
So at the end of the day, you got to please yourself, and you got to, I guess, pick and choose what you decide to involve yourself in.
There you go.
And think about consequences from either way. Consequences from not reacting, consequences from reacting, consequences from overreacting.
There you go. Enough said. Like, enough said. Like, I feel like, and this is a piggyback off of what you said, I totally agree with picking and choosing your battles, right? You know what I mean? And I've learned that a lot and have learned to walk in that way and move in that way, because it's a matter of making sure I keep myself peace, right? I keep myself love. Here we go, that plug. You mean, stay tuned for part 2 of that. But I keep that intact so that I can always stay focused, always stay as best as possible ahead of the game, and always be able to make sure that my influence comes from a place of sincerity, positivity, and, just genuine wanting to make sure that people hear me and they can, they can use what I know to make a choice or to learn from, whatever the case may be. So I agree with you. I didn't feel any kind of way when Portia had made that comment. Like, you know what I mean? I'm saying Portia like me and her homegirls, but but I cool. Just like, I felt like when I looked into, I'm like, dang, I feel like people, I don't want to say people are reaching, but I do feel like, you know what I mean? Like you said, put it in perspective. Like, we are all on a computer screen right now. Somebody really could have just posted that picture up and it could be a whole fake story. It don't have no reality to it. But if in fact it did have reality to it, she's warranted her opinion, and everybody doesn't have a favorite opinion. We're not going to always be the national best. You mean, we're not going to always make that. But it's it's like one of those like real kind of like balancing acts, especially when you talk about influence and you talk about your direction of the influence that you have with people. Could that have made people dislike Portia as a celebrity? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But just as many as those people are climbing up that don't like her, there's more people that's adding to the list that do like her. You know what I mean? And for individual reasons. I think that, we just gotta, like you said, and you couldn't have said it any better, know at what point is it worth to say time to say something, and what point is it worth not to say anything, and how is it going to benefit you, because it should be able to benefit you. There's an equal ground where they say give or take. Yeah, you can give, especially as an influence, especially as somebody who's inspiring somebody. Yes, you can give. You can, and I say you can because I'm not making it mandatory. You know what I mean? You shouldn't do anything that's forced. You can give, but it also should be some type of receiving on your end. And it doesn't have to be in materialistic form. It could be that you receive gratitude, you receive more humility, you receive more blessing, or whatever the case may be. In terms of speaking out on things and being an influence on things regarding your thoughts on what's happening in the world. And when I saw that, I was just like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, boy, out of pocket. Second of all, you're dealing with college kids. And it also made me think about like just my work, because I do also interact with kids online now, especially with the department that I work with special needs children. And I just make sure that I'm always conscious as best as possible to keep my background as plain as possible. Like, all you see is a white wall. That's it. I'm not giving you no gimmicks or nothing like that. And you know what I mean? What I do in my private time, I make sure I try to keep one, because I don't want people to try to use that against me. You know what I mean? Because if I like to spike my orange juice with vodka, you know, sometimes here and there, that's my choice. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not out here. I ain't out here putting nobody in danger or anything of that sort. But you know what I mean? People also use information like that and take that and use it against you. And so that's another way I looked at it too. When I saw that post, I was like, dang, like, I wonder if Bull really was just trying to, you know, keep himself on the up and up for the social isolation. You know, I wonder.
You know, you know, he's in isolation, yes. So you got to keep yourself composed, and you know,
he was trying to keep himself composed. On a the light side of things. And if he was, then you know, can you blame him? But then again, it's just like it's so many different gray areas, so many different questions behind it. And no, we shouldn't take it lightly. But at the same time and token, we should take this with precaution and make sure that we thoroughly with a needle and a microscope go through this situation and say, you know what, let me look at this carefully. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on. We get information so fast, right? Especially on the internet, social media. We can find out stuff like within seconds. And to me, that seems a little scary, because it's just like, that's a lot of information. That's a whole lot of information. And what do we do with it? How should we handle it? What should we question? And at what point should we think about it? Because we get it so fast, we don't really have time to process what we already just learned maybe like two minutes ago. So and it's a lot. And I feel like when we have that on top of compounding that on top of some real life issues, that's when I feel like we got to really find a way to kind of take a step back. Because people was throwing shade at TMZ for the situation regarding what we found out, the devastating news we found out in the early part of the year, losing a real one, with Kobe Bryant and his daughter. People were really feeling some type of way that TMZ apparently, and I say apparently because I don't know how true it is, they were the ones who reported the information first. And I remember that day. It was a Sunday just like now, and it was nice outside. I'm with a couple of my friends doing some things, and my girlfriend who I was with, she gets on her phone, and all she's doing is getting on the Instagram, scrolling her feed. And she's like, "Oh my God!" And you know, when you hear somebody do that, like with us black people, we just be like, "What? Yo, what's going on?" So like, we ready to jump in arms. You think it's somebody about to come fight or whatever the case may be, but to only learn that news, and even still, and it was like one of those moments where it was really somber. It was like kind of like a disbelief type situation.
I didn't want to believe
it.
because
It hit me hard, man.
That weekend I had celebrated my birthday. I was up in New York. I was on my way home, way back down to Philly, and my bro RJ, he texted me. He was like, "Yo, you heard about Kobe?" I'm like, "Nah." So I'm thinking. He said, "I'm hoping I didn't go immediately to that." I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe he got hurt.
Right.
Car accident, something that's like less severe. And I'm like, all right. I said, no. He's like, oh, okay. So we immediately said, as soon as I said like no, I went to my phone and just started checking like Kobe Bryant. And I'm looking, I'm like, nah, this can't be true. So I said, I'm not even gonna think about it. I'm gonna just let it sit, going about my day, you know. And as I kept getting more and more news about it, I was like, oh man, this might actually be true. Because that's the same thing way I felt when Nipsey.
Yeah.
When they said Nipsey, first, because at that point he wasn't pronounced, passed away. It was at that point he was shot, injured, whatever like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. Not cool, but like, all right. I'm
He
like,
got a chance to
nah, that
make
can't
it.
be. Yeah, like this can't be true. He got shot, whatever like that. I'm thinking, it's like a single
Right.
gunshot,
He
whatever
gonna
like
pull through. He
that.
gonna pull through.
Yeah, he gangster, Crip, he cool, and I'm like, all right, Nip, can't do Nip like that. So then I started reading more, and I said, no, he was shot multiple times, once in the head. Then they start showing videos, and it's like, oh man, you can see the video, you can see his leg and all that and stuff. Like when he was trying to, I guess, resuscitate him while he was still like on the ground, you can see him roll him into the like his situation was so graphic
Yeah.
where it shouldn't be, but it kind of needed to be too, if that makes sense. Like we need, like, given out of respect for him, we shouldn't have seen it, but we've seen it, so now we're knowledgeable. When he's like, "Yo, this stuff is really real.
Yeah. And
This stuff can really happen.
yo.
This is somebody we love, and and for some people, you got PTSD, and people who just see this with regularity. Like, ain't nothing for me to see somebody roll up in a hearse.
Right.
It ain't nothing for me to see a body on the street and the cops zipping them up. Like, you know what I mean? But for some of us, that's not something we see with regularity in this, or even ever really. And it's like, yo, this is somebody we knew, or somebody we love, or this is someone who was famous to us. And it's like, that's just how he was treated. And it was like, this is real. Like, did Kobe, and it's like, I mean, the good thing, they ain't really had like the videos of like the crash, because that probably would have hurt people, like, or hit people so like hard to see that happen. Like, you know what I mean? That's just like if we would have saw how Leah passed away when her plane crashed, or left eye in her car accident, or you know what I mean, like all that
Or
stuff.
even
Like,
Michael Jackson, like, you mean, like, I don't care what nobody say, granted everybody had, another side to them that we don't know. And I'm speaking from a celebrity endpoint. We only know what was told to us as media, whatever the case may be, speculation. But looking at him as an artist, when he passed away too, it was like unbelievable. It was like, wait, what? Like, and the crazy part is, like, when you get news like that, you usually get it from people who you just be like, come on, man, stop playing. Like, you know what I mean? I know RJ, and I know he jokes a little bit too. And the boy who the friend of mine who told me how Michael Jackson had passed away, it was the same thing, like similar to your situation. I was coming from out of the city as well, and I came back home, long story short, during that time. And he called, he was like, yo sis, did you hear the news? Like, well, he just came right out and said it. He was like, Michael Jackson died. I said, yo, stop playing. Like, you play way too much. And we always talk like that because he jokes like that. Not saying he just go around and say people dead, but he's a jokester. And
yeah, you know what I mean?
Right. And so he was just like, yo, sis, no, I'm not playing this time. And I was just like, yo, the second time I felt like that was when Whitney Houston passed away. Nipsey Hussle, I definitely felt that too from him, because I'm an empathetic person. So being an empathetic person, you do feel those type of emotions at a heightened level, even if it has nothing to do with you, because it's just like you just feel emotions like that. And when Kobe Bryant passed away, it was just like, yo, he had his daughter. Like, how do you conceptualize that? You know what I mean? Like that whole process right then and there. And I like how you said that, you know what I mean? Even though we shouldn't have saw how Nipsey's life ended that day, it was one of those reality checks. And it's like, so I guess my question is, at what point do we create that balance? Because again, we're always like seesawing between that. Like, and it's a very tight and very thin space, a window of like space to be like, okay, we're going to show them this, to show them the real, and then we not. And I'm gonna, even before you answer that, think about, remember Scared Straight? The prison series they used to do, and they used to show us that. I remember, like them having like sessions. The counselors would have kids come in and they would see that stuff, like, you know what I mean? But now you barely hear about it on TV, and if you do see it, they have a rating with it now, long story short. So it's like, things have definitely changed. People's opinions of things have definitely changed, but it's always kind of like a flip a coin situation. Like, it's like, okay, this time we're going to scale back because that's just too much. But then this time we're going to be like, you could show them, you could show them. So what do you think? Like, how is that balance? Are we balancing? Like, are we? creating a balance so that that window gets a little bit more wider, or it's
No, but what I'll say personally, or at least what I'm thinking from like the I say the racist side of me, the I feel like only those things that are like shown, visually usually pertain to African
I
Americans.
can't agree with you more about that.
So I'll say that, but because not to like if this were to happen to an empty situation to a I don't know a Caucasian rock star,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
think for
He got
instance like Amy
shot public.
Winehouse. And not to cut you off, I thought of Amy Winehouse, and some people may argue that she might not be Caucasian, whatever the case may be, but she's definitely of the lighter skin complexion. When you talk about the scale, you know what I mean? And when she died,
Right.
everybody loved her, but her death came very, very sudden. It was like, whoa, what the heck? It was closed door. Even Mac Miller, when he died, nobody in their right mind was expecting that to come off that way. And when he died, it wasn't public. You know what I mean? It was, when I say it wasn't public, we didn't get like deep death information into the funeral, what the parent talked about, what was going on or whatever. I mean, you still had, the tabloids and the gossip magazines making up their own headlines or whatever the case may be, but not to the degree that it was explored with like Nipsey, with like Tupac, Biggie. Like people still doing speculation videos and like their own theories about Tupac and Biggie's death. And I'm glad you said that, because we as African Americans, our lives have always been on front and center. And I don't like it. But you know what I mean? Like, do we prosper from that, or do we sit there and say, look, no, y'all need to mind y'all so-and-so business? Like,
we kind of welcome it.
Yeah. And I think
and we kind of add to it by helping it.
Yeah. It's crazy. I guess that's why Childish Gambino, well, no, I'm not even going to say I guess. And it makes me think of Childish Gambino's song, This Is America. And I remember having to watch that. I remember when that video came out. Beautiful, constructed video. Like the, musical genius behind it was amazing. And watching that video multiple times, and then considering what we had just went through the 3 years prior to that. And it really hit home for me, because I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. And I think about that a lot in terms of like what I watch on TV, when I'm exposed to, because I'm sensitive to that as a personal. I can't see certain things on TV and be honest with you, just true story. Like, you might call me a punk or whatever the case may be, but I can't watch certain things on TV and say that I'll get a good night's rest after watching it. Like, it's just certain things I will not be able to watch, because it's too not desensitized, but it's very sensitive to my inner self, and it'll make me question some things, and it'll just shake me to the core. So I don't be selective in a sense where it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to watch it at all, I don't want to be aware, but I do say, okay, this is too much. I got it now. I get it. I'm not the person that you have to explicitly show for me to be like, yo, that's crazy. I can get it from you telling me. I can get it from your sense of like presence. I can get that because I'm a visual person, whatever. I can't stress it enough. Everybody is different. I get that. But I do think that it should be some balance. And that gap between what we should share, how graphic it should be, where it should go, should definitely not be narrower. It should be wider, because our sense of privacy, our sense of ability to maintain that privacy is important. But then again, when you're talking about us as African Americans, that sense of privacy, we have to feel like we got to take away, or we got to sit there and like own up to, because we really didn't have a stage to sit there and say this was ours, because we've been fighting that battle for a minute. And it's crazy, because seeing them type of posts like that, I'm just like, yo. And then to piggyback off the original start of this conversation about the bull, the professor, he was an Asian bull. So they took that and kind of like They took that to a whole nother level that just like it's just and it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like, you know what I mean? Is it like beneficial? You know what I mean, to us? Like, and if it is beneficial, we need to see more of that than anything. And Shade Room do a good job at kind of try to keep the balance. They do post positive images and stuff like that. They had their days. You mean when they be like positive Sunday, positive Monday, or whatever the case may be. But then they also post the shade too, and I'm just like, yo, that's a lot. That's a lot. So that's why I wanted to come on and talk about, because I was just like, I wonder. So social media use and what have you, like, because even with that, like, we didn't always have a restriction on how to use cell phones, how much time we should use on them, or whatever the case may be. But
we had minutes. You talking about back in the day when we had minute restriction, when you had like the prepaid. Yeah, you had restrictions then.
It was like you are down to 5 minutes on your plan.
Yeah, that was horrible.
That was horrible. They will never know. They will never understand. Like, at least,
yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
At least with these phones, you can connect to the Wi-Fi. You be Gucci, like.
Yeah. Like, imagine our cell phones on dial-up internet. Like, how would you,
Bro, we would die. We wouldn't. I don't know how we would survive, man. Yo, you on the line, bro? I'm trying to make this order.
Right, like you could make a call while somebody was on the computer,
and you can't be sneaking doing it, because somebody definitely hear it. They'll say, "Yo, are you on the phone?" No, I'm not on the phone. Well, why I hear the dial-up tone?
Right. We just sending a fax? Like, no.
Yo, we went through a lot of different changes. So, like, I guess people say, like, so even in that instance, the upgrade and the progress was great and it's beneficial, but we also have its ugly sides too, like the influence of just, having the ability to say, okay, look, this is what I'm about, this is what I believe in, but at the same time, the token, I'm not perfect. And be honest with yourself. Like, if you're not perfect, cool, whatever. And this ain't no throw shade at the boy, like, because he not perfect. He a teacher. But does that mean that we got to sit there and, like, almost crucify him, stone him to death? I don't know. We definitely need to have a conversation with him, like, yo, homie, like, that ain't cool. What's your angle? Like, you need to be talked to, reprimanded, as I say before. But I do think that we do have a responsibility for making sure we don't put enough emphasis, not too much, not too little, enough emphasis on where our emotions go toward things and how that affects what we allow to influence the way we think, influence the way we question things. But, besides that, we gotta live with flavor. What you think, bro?
No, I mean, it's perfect sense.
Yeah.
My whole thing with him was like, was it on a school computer?
Yeah,
like, that's really the key. Like that. I mean,
but people do stuff at the job though, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's what I'm saying, but I could see that can cause some type of can cause termination, because it's like, yo, that's school property. You're corrupting it. You could be putting the files on it, viruses, all this other stuff that can go with it. I could see that possibly, because I'm sure he has some type of thing in his contract saying, certain things you can't do, or you know what I mean?
I think that, like, businesses make a decision like that based off of what's more of a liability as opposed to what's going to sit there and bring us more money. So I think that's probably where the angle came from. Not saying that they dismiss the idea of the fact that he could totally be a pedophile, whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that he is, but not saying that they didn't think about that. Like, yo, what if this boy really is into some stuff that we don't need on our campus? So from a business standpoint, is it beneficial to keep him as a professor when we going to have parents calling, guardians calling, questioning?
Yeah, might say, is it going to cause more headaches?
Is it going to cause more headaches? That means, okay, look at the value of his learning or whatever. Is the class that he's teaching, can we get another teacher on board? Do we have more teachers to teach that class? Yep, we do. Okay, then he can just go. You know what I mean? So I think that's where that angle came from. But then I can understand where people are saying from a human standpoint, dang, Corona out here affecting everybody's livelihood. And he need a job. Like, you know what I mean? That's not saying that maybe working with kids and working with college students might not be the best job for him. However, he still need a job. You know what I mean? And so with that case, what's the best job for him? You know what I mean? Something where he keep himself self-contained, safe, and he don't be out here doing nothing that could jeopardize anybody else. So I hope that on both ends of the spectrum that none of the students were personally affected, and if they were, I hope that they found safe solutions to the problem. And the professor, I'm about to say homeboy, and the professor, he, I can't even say if he should apologize, but just make amends with the fact that there's so many wrong with the situation over the right.
Like, but how do you elaborate on that on his resume when he goes to another job?
Right,
like I was terminated for, and they're gonna be like, oh, you a freak.
Like that. That's a lot of conversation. There you go with that influence. Like it's going to travel with you. It's going to travel with you, bro. So like.
Cause now cause that could have jeopardized his career.
It definitely
for real.
Could have, especially if he's been teaching for some years and he looked like he probably has. And you're a college professor. He might have been an adjunct though. If he was an adjunct professor though, like they don't care about adjunct professors. They ain't getting paid that much, so it's like he probably like adjunct in the college university world is like a substitute. So.
And I think that the time that everything's happening too, like it's almost the end of the semester
so
anyway.
Bro, you like, look, we just gonna make
so it's like,
for you.
It's just an early release. Like it was only finals left anyway. Like
right, we gonna make this easy for you. You your severance package. You finish up the rest of the class.
Yeah.
We done the grading system. It's cool. Class about to be let out in like 2 weeks. You good, bro? You good?
Yeah, so like, we just let you go, and they probably gave him his last.
They probably
check,
did
so.
say enjoy your summertime. You know.
But we'll pay you for the rest of the year, or at least the rest of the the semester.
And you good.
And yeah, you just gotta figure it out from there, buddy. I'm sorry.
So long, sayonara. Good luck to you.
Right.
And we never gonna forget this because shade room. We made it to the shade room. I don't know, man. It's just I don't know if there's any coming back from that. Like, how do you come back from that? That could probably be another podcast. Like, how do we come back?
Like, and that could affect his career. Like that turn. That's almost like a felony.
That tarnishes your file. That goes right on your. And this joint don't drop for 7 years. This joint lasts for the rest of your life. You will forever be known as the bull who was hosting online classes, looking at, hot girl summer. I don't know, like. You out here looking at stuff. I mean, just make sure that you put the privacy tab on everybody, when you're doing stuff. And when you get online, please make sure that your background area and everything that you're doing in the background at all costs is appropriate. I mean, you can't be on here doing whatever, but
turn the
cookies off. Literally, take a break from them. You can go on a diet.
Clear your history
do something because it's treacherous out here. It's dangerous. Mess your whole life up by a click of a button. But that's why we're here, because we're here to try to tell you the positive influences that you need to follow, like our show.
Right.
And check out my bro show In the Mix, because y'all should definitely talk about this. This is crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a little crazy. Yeah. He jeopardized his whole life for a website. Like, that's it.
They don't even own. That's out of pocket.
Yeah, like, he ain't get no money
from
it.
Come on, man. He could do better.
He done benefit dummy. I'm surprised they didn't show what website it was for real, because that would have gave the website some traffic.
But you know what, though? I didn't even look at the comments, because it was like over 200 and something comments. I'm sure somebody pointed that out. Like, yo, I know what site that is. Oh, you do?
Oh, I know that page.
You got a membership.
Like, I know that page.
Okay. Make sure your membership is good. He probably was updating his membership and making sure that his membership was good, so when he get out of class, he can have some activities to do. But I just think his timing was off. He just probably should have scaled back on that. Like, he missed that hard. Like, he missed that big time.
But now, I mean, he just helped people just basically clear. Like, people know now, I got to clear everything I do now. I got to delete everything I do.
Yeah, he do. Yeah.
If that page is meant for me to come back to it, I'll find it again.
He just
like, no need to bookmark no more. Down. Yeah, maybe it's no need to bookmark now. Like he said, if that page is meant for me to see again, I'll be able to get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, people got to know the true story about how people out here living. Like, yeah, I'm a professor, but I just hope that you out here living the right life. Like, I mean, everybody do their thing, but let's just make sure y'all doing stuff safely because everybody can be affected. I don't know. This is good stuff, bro. This is good stuff. I like the lightness and this isn't humor behind it because like everything ain't always harsh.
Yeah,
but
right.
big up to Shade Room for posting that, link to give some insight on this conversation. And I hope y'all continue this conversation even beyond this point. And enjoy y'all weekend. Until next time, we will be back again. Basically, make sure y'all check out the rest of our episodes that we have had. We will be back on schedule, airing every show every Monday. Donna and Groove, we out.
Yep.